My name is Cara Vienna, one of the assistant principals at Los Alamitos High School, and we welcome you here tonight to our virtual community college night. While we would rather be together in person, we are happy that you are able to join us tonight from a safe distance and that we can still offer this information to you. Tonight, you will learn more about the application process, transfer programs, financial aid, academic programs, and much more about the California Community College system. We also encourage students, especially seniors, to reach out to the College and Career Center if you want contact information for other local community college reps in order to get the information that you need. I am pleased tonight to introduce you to Ben Olagi, the Outreach Coordinator from Golden West College. And we are excited for you to hear about the general community college process and some program specifics of Golden West College. Welcome.
Thank you, Cara, and good evening, Griffin families. As was mentioned, my name is Ben Olagi, and I'm happy to be here tonight from Golden West College to lead through this presentation regarding community college overview, the transfer process, and some questions about financial aid. As we get started, I'd like to begin from the beginning. So we'll kick off with understanding what the Community College Foundations are, how we were established, what our purpose is, and how students can navigate through their education. For those who are unaware, the community colleges in California started in the early 1900s. They were originally started and referred to as junior colleges. The focus on those was really meant to service the mechanical arts, general education, really vocational and basic skills focused students. However, in approximately 1960, the California Master Plan was established and created a space for the community colleges to fit in a more purposeful manner with the higher education structure of California. This paired us up with the CSU system and the UC, University of California and California State University systems, respectively. Now, when we look at these different education systems, each has its own purpose. Starting with the more prominent UC system, we do like to really explain what it is, how they were established, and what those universities exist for. For those who might be unaware, the University of California system is made up of 9 different campuses all throughout the state, and primarily their focus has been research and theory-based practices. So with that, there are bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, professional and doctorate degrees offered in many of the traditional academic programs. However, the main focus of those educational foundations, the curriculum is really focused on research and theory. Those who wanted to go into the furthering of particular fields. This includes many of the STEM fields, law, or anything that really generates from a research foundation. Now, when we look at the CSU system, our other sister institution, those are more of the theory and application-based academic programs. This system was established initially as a bachelor's, master's granting institution to focus on theory and application, the doing careers. So whereas the UC focuses on furthering research and understanding, the doing is actually taught through the CSU system. Now, obviously, over the years, this has been a slightly combobulated, slightly mixed up, and the focus has really kind of expanded and evolved, but this is where the community colleges fit in. As part of that master plan, the California community colleges were established, and again, if we look at just how spaced out we are, there are 9 UC campuses, 23 CSUs, but 115 community colleges throughout the state. This allows the purpose of the community college system to do exactly what it was meant for. Focus on students who, A, are not in a position to go directly into the bachelor's program of their choice, either the UC or CSU. Those who want to focus on getting a lower division education and then going directly into the career field, or earning a certificate within the career education field. So the career education is actually one of the main 3 foci of the community colleges. So again, those main 3 purposes for the community colleges, what we serve are students who intend to transfer to a university, students who want to earn an AA and enter the workforce, or students who want to work on job training specific career education areas to earn a certificate to jump right into the workforce. Now, when we talk about career education and those skilled labor jobs, these are programs that include, again, areas of careers that don't require a bachelor's degree or higher. Many of these require, again, skilled learned training, job certifications, and general knowledge of that field. Just as an example, some of these could include nursing, law enforcement, dentistry, veterinary assistance, culinary arts, automotive technology, cosmetology, and again, the list goes on and on. Fire technicians, EMT training, and so forth. So much of this is a license-based education to get students into the career field of their choice. This allows us to not only focus on those students who are preparing to transfer to a university, but also to feed into the economy of the state by actually feeding into those workforces directly. Many of the students that are attending community colleges actually have taken up other options for-profit or trade schools and actually found that the quality of education is either equal or exceeded in those programs by attending a community college. As we move through this presentation, I'll also focus on how those same educations can actually come up free of charge. Moving forward, we do also want to mention that yes, we do acknowledge, and with the community colleges, not only do we feed students into the UC and CSU system, which are sister systems of the public education in California, but we also send students to institutions of their choice. This could include private independent colleges and universities. This could include schools like USC, Chapman, Biola, Loyola Marymount, out-of-state institutions, historically black colleges and universities, just various institutions across the country, again, wherever a student is seeing that their academic needs will be met best. So many students come to us and ask, well, how does the transfer process work? We like to explain it in the following terms. When students attend a community college, they are completing their lower division requirements. This is traditionally going to be the first 2 years and content of what they would be completing had they gone directly to a university or if they spend that educational time at the community college level. Those first 2 years are lower division, general education, and introductory level courses for their particular major of choice. When it comes to transferring, there are some important terms that we ask students to be very clear on. When they meet with a counselor, much like you have in your high schools, the institutions, the community colleges, and universities all have counselors as well, and they will explain that these processes break down into 2 different areas in course completion. There are transferable courses, meaning that they are valid for unit credit towards the degree, meaning that these are college level courses that a student can complete, transfer that to the university that they plan to attend, and apply those units towards graduation. Then there are also articulated courses. These are courses that are equivalent to the course offering at the university. So for example, as a student enters the community college experience, they'll be asked to complete an English course, a college level English course, or a college level math course, something along those lines. Based on what the content of that course would be, much like there is articulated requirements for curriculum in high schools, in K-12 education, there are articulated content and required areas that have to be satisfied by particular courses at the college level as well. For those courses where the curriculum matches up, either at the community college and the university, these courses can be articulated, meaning that if a student were to complete English G100 at Golden West College, that would be the same and equivalent to English 101 or what have you at a university of their choice. So whichever university, there are transferable credits and articulated credits. Just to, again, revisit that, transferable is credit that the student can take with them. Articulated means that the course now will not only go with the student to the university, but it is the exact equivalent requirement of the course at the university that they may need to require. So with that, how does that play into general education? This allows for the community college to satisfy the lower division general education requirements prior to departure to the university. There are 2 major items that we like to focus on and we counsel our students to move forward with. For those students who are debating between either a UC or CSU journey, meaning that they're considering either UC Irvine and Long Beach State equally, we would recommend to them completing the intersegmental general education transfer curriculum, or IGETC for short. As you'll see on the screen, it is valid at both the UC and CSU, and it'll also be accepted at some independent schools or depending on what their native pattern may be. Some of those more popular schools that we can mention would be something along the lines of ASU down in Arizona. So Arizona State, again, those articulated courses could work with that. The next is the CSU specific general education breadth. This is that same lower division requirement general education pattern, which allows students to complete their lower division educational requirements prior to transferring to the university in the CSU system. As you note on the screen, it is valid for CSU only. However, some private and independent schools have decided to accept it as well. That is one of the benefits of the private and independent schools. Also is they can decide what it is and how they want to apply credit as the students enter. Additional information, students enroll in university level coursework at the community college, as we were just establishing. It is an expectation that in general, students will complete a minimum 60 transferable units. Again, there's that word, transferable. So 60 transferable credits. This, the transferability of units was more of a concern a few years ago prior to the establishment of Assembly Bill 705, which negated the need and requirement for prerequisite work, which was remedial English or math. So now that that's no longer an issue, the transferability of courses is really a little smoother now. General education coursework and lower division major coursework is what factors into those completed minimum 60 units. Again, just to specify, these are 60 semester units. If a student is looking to transfer to the UC system, there is an equation for establishing how many quarter units are equivalent to semester units, all something that the student will be able to work with their counselor at the community college that they plan to attend. Other transfer requirements that students will be met with are minimum GPA requirements for admission. This is going into all college level coursework, and it could vary by system and school, meaning that the UC threshold for GPA for admission could be different from that of a CSU. Additionally, within the CSU system, for example, CSU Long Beach and Cal State Fullerton could have a higher GPA threshold for admission than, say, Cal State Monterey Bay or East Bay. Again, all these things are items that the student would speak with their counselor about. Additionally, lastly, students will apply for admission the fall before they intend to transfer. So if the student were attending a community college for the ideal 2-year experience, they would apply for admissions to the university of their choice the year at the beginning of their second year at the community college. So they would spend 1 year at the community college completing coursework. If they're on that 2-year plan, at the beginning of fall of their second year, they would apply for fall of the subsequent year to transfer to the institution of their choice. So again, just a fun little graphic here to see what the education really looks like. As we mentioned, the community college, major preparation, general education, and additional electives, if needed, are the community college experience. Add that to the university major coursework and upper division, plus whatever upper division general education may be required. That is where your students will earn their bachelor's degree. Now, when we look at the University of California, a lot of confusion really goes into that. As I mentioned before, the purpose of the UC system has been slightly muddled, but again, they do a very good job of the educations that they provide. When we look at the 9 undergraduate campuses, they do stretch as far north as Davis and as far south as San Diego, and then everywhere in between. As I mentioned before, there are some nuances to the UC system, including that they operate on the quarter system as opposed to semester. So when we look at students who want to transfer with 60 minimum semester units, that should be roughly the equivalent or near the equivalent to 90 quarter units when the time they're looking to transfer to the UC campus. In general, again, this is subject to admissions requirements by year to year. A 2.4 GPA in UC transferable coursework is required. This could vary for students who are non-resident or out of state. There's preparation in the major, lower division coursework of the expectations. 7-course pattern. This is not strictly the general education, but again, other requirements that are expected, as well as the UC Area E, 2 qualifying English composition courses, and math requirements. These are different from the CSU. So again, they are more particular. And additionally, this is more information that the student will work with their counselor to understand. Other items that are different from the transfer requirements from UC to CSU is that the UC does require 4 additional general education, arts, humanities, social behavioral sciences, physical science, and biological science requirements as well. Excuse me. Now, the overview of the CSU transfer pattern, again, 23 CSU campuses as far north as Humboldt, nearing the Oregon border, and as far south as San Diego. The requirements do kind of trickle down a little easier to understand. Again, we're looking at 60 transferable units from the community college for admission to the university, the CSU system. The Golden Four, which the Golden Four are general education areas, which include English composition, qualitative reasoning or math, oral communication, and critical thinking. There's a minimum of 30 units of general education classes that are expected as requirement from the community college. Competitive GPA, the minimum threshold is 2.0 overall. However, this varies campus to campus. There are major requirements or the associate's degree for transfer, also known as the ADT or degree guaranteed with a degree. Associate's degree for transfer. This is an Associate of Arts, which allows a student to complete an associate's degree and simultaneously complete the requirements for a transferable GE pattern prior to moving to the CSU system. For private and out of state, this really boils down to you'll need to speak with that campus. There's a lot of nuance, as you'll see on the screen. The one thing that does really kind of hover around universally for out-of-state or private institutions is the Common Application. So again, many of your students may have completed the Common App last fall if they were applying to private universities. Again, this includes examples like Pepperdine or, again, Chapman down in Orange, California, one of our popular destinations for transfer as well. The Common Application is something that the students will need to complete in order to move on to a private or out-of-state university. As I mentioned, the nuance really boils down to what is the minimum threshold for units in order to be eligible for transfer. This is one of those items that is very particular to each private institution. As you'll see, the minimum units can be anywhere from 12 completed units to 64 units. As I mentioned earlier, you're looking at a minimum of 60 transferable units for the CSU system, but here for private or out of state, it could be anywhere between 12 and 64. That is really kind of the nuance and leeway that they allow themselves. There are always going to be competitive GPAs, again, depending on the size of the campus, the notoriety of the campus, location, and so forth. Applications, deadlines, they vary as well. Private institutions, their admissions periods fluctuate based on their need. Some of the more well-known private institutions in our area include Chapman, USC, Loma Linda, National, Laverne, Biola, and so forth. Out of state, this could include Arizona State, the Grand Canyon University, Northern Arizona, Hawaiian Pacific University, and others. Now, when we talk about what are some of the benefits of being a part of the California higher education system, being sister institutions with not only the CSU and UCs, community colleges have agreements which can allow guaranteed admission for your students. For some of the students who are looking to transfer to the UC system, they should be looking into what's called the TAG program, the Transfer Admission Guarantee. This is a system that allows students a guaranteed admission from a community college as transfer students, guaranteed admission into one of, what are we looking at, 6 of the 9 UC campuses that are participating in TAG. This manifests as a pre-admission status to a 4-year college or university. It can be offered based on major or admission status. Most have a minimum qualification, so this goes with units, GPA, and area-specific requirements, and there are additional options that exist for private and historically black colleges and universities. But when we look at TAG specifically, as I mentioned, it exists between the community college system, all 115 community colleges, and 6 of the 9 UC campuses, which are featured on the screen now. If you're looking at the list of schools that participate in TAG, you'll notice that there are 3 very prominent UC campuses that do not participate. UCLA, UC Berkeley, and UC San Diego do not participate in the TAG program. Again, TAG stands for Transfer Admission Guarantee. As I go through the nuance and what this program means, you'll see why they don't participate. UC TAG is a program that guarantees transfer admission from a California community college to the university, one of the participating UC campuses. There's an established curriculum and minimum GPA expectation that is established and set forth in agreement with the student via contract. In the time that the student is at the community college, it is expected that the student will meet or exceed the minimum requirements which were established in the contract. That means the minimum units that they were expected to be to complete, the minimum requirements in particular general education or major preparation coursework, and a minimum GPA in those courses as well. Should that agreement be satisfied by the time the student is ready to transfer, 2 processes will need to take place. The student will need to apply for admission to that UC campus of which they're looking to attend, and then they must file a second application to activate the tag. So with that, what does that look like in practice? Say, for example, a student were to attend Golden West College because they make great decisions in life. That student would say, I want to go from Golden West College and transfer to UC Santa Barbara as a history major. That student would then speak with the Golden West College counselor, express what their intentions are to transfer to UC Santa Barbara as a history major. They would establish the TAG contract. It would say the student is expected to complete courses ABC 1, 2, 3 with a minimum GPA of X. And by the time the student is ready to transfer, that student will say, okay, I've met those requirements. I've exceeded the minimum GPA. I'm going to apply to UC Santa Barbara for admission, and I'm going to apply to activate my tag. If all requirements have been satisfied appropriately, that student is guaranteed a seat as a history major at UC Santa Barbara. Okay? If the student chooses to change their major or strays from that contract or the content that was signed for their tag, that nullifies the guarantee. So again, it is a very particular process. If a student is completely intentional of what they want to study and at which campus, that is where we guarantee that they explore the option of establishing a tag with one of these campuses. TAG, also part of the nuance, not all campuses participate and not all majors participate. So again, it is critical that students meet with a college counselor prior to seeking out or establishing what their intentions are. But in essence, again, it is a great program. One of the questions we receive regularly is, well, if my student does a tag with UC Santa Barbara, does that mean they can't apply to UCLA or any of their campuses? Absolutely not. Students are absolutely welcomed and encouraged to apply to all of the universities that they're interested in, that they qualify for. However, the tag is the only option for guarantee, meaning that if a student definitely knows they want to be a history major, but they want to pursue that education at UC Berkeley, which again, unfortunately does not participate, they should absolutely apply for admission to UC Berkeley as a history major. But as a fallback, would they be satisfied with continuing their education at UC Santa Barbara for that particular major? That is where a tag would fit perfectly. So again, they can apply to all 9 UC campuses for a particular major or various majors, but only 1 tag per student, per campus, per major is allowed. When it comes to the CSU system, as I mentioned before, we do also have the associate's degree for transfer. The Associate of Arts program, the Associate of Arts degree meant for transfer includes not only the 60 units minimum that are required for admission to the CSU, but it also entails an associate's degree to help the student get employed or enter the workforce with a particular field. In that 60 units, they will not only complete or expected to complete the breadth of their lower division general education, but also some of the lower division requirements for that major that they are planning to transfer for. For students who do complete this associate's degree for transfer, they are guaranteed upon completion admission into the CSU system. Please note that I'm emphasizing the CSU system. This is not contrary to the TAG program. The associate's degree for transfer is not campus-based. It is a guaranteed admission into the CSU system. That means that students are guaranteed admission into at least one of the 23 campuses. Additionally, students who complete the associate's degree for transfer, if they satisfy all requirements, they can expect to have a 0.1 bump in their GPA for evaluation of admission. It is portable. Students can take that for priority admission to impacted and out-of-area CSU campuses. And additionally, as I mentioned, it is 60 units that are applicable towards the bachelor's degree after transfer. Some of the drawbacks that come from the associate's degree, it is an all or none process, meaning that it must be satisfied in full. If even one area of the associate's degree for transfer is unsatisfied, it nullifies that opportunity completely. Additionally, there is major coursework that may exceed the minimum required units for admission, meaning that if a student were, and again, this is just not a guaranteed example, just a loose example. If a student were interested in becoming a chemistry major at CSU Fullerton, being that it is one of the hard sciences, those science courses typically exceed the minimum 3-unit or common 3-unit coursework that students engage with in their lower division. So again, if a student were taking 4 or 5-unit chemistry courses to meet their lower division requirements, that could, in effect, put them over the 60-unit minimum. This isn't a punishment, it's just part of the process that goes with some of these more concrete and harder STEM majors. Now, what are some of the benefits additionally of attending a community college? All of our community colleges have transfer center and counseling offices and departments. What is the benefit of attending those and participating with those? They will program, each of those offices will program transfer fairs, university tours. Again, so this is going from, if a student were, just as an example, at Golden West College, in the past, I've known that our transfer department has taken students to UC Riverside, UC San Diego, University of San Diego, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, Cal State San Bernardino, Fullerton, Long Beach, Dominguez Hills, Cal State LA, any of those respective local area schools, regionally approachable schools, they get free tours. It is a free campus tour. The buses and transportation is provided. And again, it's just one of the benefits of attending. There's also one-on-one appointments that can be coordinated with university representatives. So say a student wanted to go from Golden West College to Pepperdine University. The respective counseling and transfer department could coordinate that a representative from Pepperdine come in to speak with that student one-on-one. There's assistance for application workshops. For students who are looking to transfer to UC campuses, there are personal insight question review processes and assistance. And of course, counseling by major, including pre-professional programs, things like pre-law and pre-medicine. Now, as we go into it, and I'm sure I've sold you all on the community college route already, how can we benefit from this with not only from an academic standpoint, but a financial standpoint? Part of the benefit of attending a community college is the cost. Not only are we significantly lower cost and more affordable option than going straight to university, and as we've established, the first 2 years and experience at the community college is completing those first 2 years of the 4-year university experience. We are here, and the purpose that we exist for is to help students, not only academically, but financially as well. For students who are wondering what the cost is for attendance at any of the 115 campuses, universally, all California community colleges charge $46 per unit. If you're looking to see what the total cost of tuition would be for a student who's planning to attend a community college and then transfer, as we mentioned, the minimum threshold would be 60 units. All you'd have to do is multiply 60 by 46. That will give you the dollar amount minimum of your tuition. Now, there are additional fees that apply. However, they're within the scores of dollars. It is maybe $12 to $25 per semester. So again, it's not a huge variance. As opposed to university tuition, again, this is just in comparison, local area universities, say Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach runs approximately $7,000 per year. The UC system, as example, University of California, Irvine, UCI, approximately $13,500 for 1 year's admission and tuition. And then if you go into the private sector and looking at Chapman or USC, USC is approximately $67,000 per year. Now understand that these are all tuition costs. This does not include books. This does not include additional fees, housing, or anything along those lines. Those are simply the comparison of tuition costs. Additionally, because we are a system, again, that we are accredited by the state, we are able to give and offer students various financial aid opportunities. These opportunities include the Pell Grant, various student success grants, as you'll see that they're listed on the screen, state-based aid, including our California Promise Grant, which was formerly known as the BOG waiver. The Board of Governors fee waiver is now known as the California Promise Grant. And then there's also campus-based fees and student grants as well. Each of our various campuses can boil down and to provide students aid that would cover their entire need. For any student who, again, files the FAFSA and can demonstrate the highest level of financial need, what you're seeing on the screen is an example of the max award that a student could earn. Now, based on the previous screen and all the various grants that are being offered, this is a max allowance, and this is a real example. For students who demonstrate the most level of need, they could max out their Pell Grant each year for $6,195. Add to that the federal student success grant, the FSEOG for $500, Cal Grant B. There are Cal Grants in A, B, or C, depending on what the student's academic intention is at the community college. There's the Board of Governors fee waiver, also now known as the California Promise, which will take care of the tuition. That $1,288, if you're doing the math at home, that's approximately the cost of tuition for 1 year at a community college of roughly 30 units. And then lastly, in green is a federal work-study offering. This means this student is earning and offered the opportunity to find a job on campus and add to their financial aid award. So for a total of tuition cost, roughly $1,300 for 1 year, the student could be eligible for upwards of $16,653 in federal aid, federal and state aid. These are real examples. The cost will not only be waived, that'll go into that, but again, the additional cost of roughly $15,000 would go to supporting the student throughout that academic year. This goes to cost of living, books, tuition, transportation, whatever the student might need. Are you doing a financial aid workshop anytime soon? Okay. So I don't need to review this, as this financial aid process will be reviewed with the Los Alamitos team in the coming days or weeks. But just to go over it real quick, understanding the difference between which is the appropriate application for students to complete. If your student is a U.S. citizen, born native in the United States, a U.S. citizen, all students, they should all apply for the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. This can be found at www.fafsa.ed.gov. However, if the student is an undocumented student, non-native or out-of-state student, meaning that parents split custody, the student spends 1 year in Arizona, 1 year in California, whatever the situation may be. For students who are, again, non-native citizens, they could qualify for the California DREAM application as well. This only defaults for students. It is not an award program. It simply defaults a student under registration and completion of the application to pay in-state tuition. That's all. So again, understanding that difference, there you go, one more time. Understanding which application is appropriate. And then, as I mentioned before, we do have campus promise programs. So in the local area, we have roughly 9 community colleges in Orange County. With that, Cypress Community College, Fullerton, Rancho Santiago Canyon, Santa Ana, Irvine Valley, Saddleback College, OCC, Golden West College, and Coastline, we all operate with a similar promise program, campus-based funding for your student. And the way this really boils down, in essence, is when the student files the FAFSA, when they apply for financial aid, if that application deems that your family makes too much money, which again in Southern California, I don't know who does, but if that's ever the situation and the student is not offered any level of award, for example, at Golden West, our Golden Promise program, the GPP, what happens is the student will be denied an opportunity for aid. And that once that decision is filtered over to our campus-based financial aid office, that student will automatically be dominoed into our campus-based program. Now at Golden West, I do like to boast that we do have the most robust offering for our students within our Promise program. Not only will we cover the cost of tuition, but we also offer students $400 stipend for books per semester. That is the largest amount of money that's allowed for students for books. And part of the benefit is it allows students to use whatever money they may need for their books. And should there be any leftover change, again, that's where students could pocket that money and repurpose it for anything else that they may need for their education. It is a stipend. So again, they don't pay that money back. It is money in their pocket. Additional benefits of each Promise program could also include parking or additional coverage for fees, which also includes our student health fee. Currently, as we know, with the ongoing pandemic, as that continues, if students don't have health insurance access, this provides them direct access to our health care on campus, our health facility on site. As I mentioned, all the different campuses within Orange County, you can seek out what the information and requirements and processes are for those Promise programs. If your student is considering attending OCC, they have the Pirate Promise program. I believe for OCC, there is a supplemental application on top of the FAFSA. Cypress, they have their Charger Experience program, which is, again, not only is it finance and support, but it's also a first-year experience program, which works for the benefit of helping students register and make it through their first year of academics. The Golden Promise, as I move forward with it, here's a flyer for it and a rough overview of what's provided. It is offered for free tuition, free textbooks, again, $400 per semester, free fees, which include the student representation fee and student health fee, as well as hopefully by next fall, we can be back on campus full-time. And with that, students who are eligible for the Promise program, the Golden Promise program, will be given a free parking pass as well. The criteria, this is pretty universal. However, some campuses may have additional or supplemental requirements, but in essence, each campus-based Promise program will require that the student be enrolled full-time, which is a minimum of 12 units, be a California resident, file for the FAFSA or DREAM application, and be eligible for only the fee waiver. Again, this is for something where if a student may have attended one college course and then gone into the workforce and are returning, there are supplemental requirements for them as well. That really brings us to the end of this presentation, and I feel like there may be a little bit that I missed out on. If not, I do welcome you all to seek out any additional information from the websites of the Community College of Interest. At GWC, we like to let you know, again, you can start here and finish anywhere. And should you have any questions or want more information about anything I covered for GWC specifically, my information is here on the screen. I welcome any queries. Please reach out any way we can help. I do thank you for that. Other than that, I thank you all for attending and have a good night.